We've just received the very welcome, long-awaited news that India's Defence Acquisition Council has given the green light, the acceptance of necessity for going in for the Rafale deal. 114 Rafales are going to be purchased. This is in addition to the 36 already purchased by the Indian Air Force and 26 purchased by the Indian Navy, right? Out of these 114, some 18 will be, purchased off the shelf from France, and deliveries will start coming in by 2028. So this, like I said, is a great relief. Why is it a relief? The Indian Air Force, which was supposed to have a sanctioned strength of 42 squadrons, is down to 29. The Pakistani Air Force has a strength of 25 squadrons. That means the Indian Air Force, which is required to deal with China, with Pakistan and with Bangladesh now, which is planning to buy Chinese and American and Pakistani fighters, is down to just 4 squadrons more than the Pakistani Air Force. What are we competing for? To try and become balanced with the Pakistani Air Force? It has never happened in our military history. We've always kept a big major edge over the Pakistani Air Force, which was getting freebies from the United States and then from China at discount prices. We've been always kept ahead because that is the dire national security requirement. For once, we are getting into a situation of parity with Pakistan. Forget about dealing with a joint threat, a three-front threat. If you keep going at this rate, sir, we will shortly be heading for parity with Bangladesh. Even Pakistan will overtake us because Pakistani pilots are already in China getting training on the J-35 stealth fighter. China already has over 300 stealth fighters, J-20, J-35. It is planning that by 2030 it will have a fleet of about 1,000 fifth-generation stealth fighters. What are we trying to do? Ensure that our enemies have air superiority over us? We are sleepwalking into danger. You see, and this is unacceptable. So all those who feel that this $40 billion deal of the Rafale is not required, they need to go back to their ABCD. No country has played such ducks and drakes with its security like India, especially in the 10 years of the Congress regime, when not one single jet fighter was purchased. Not one single jet fighter. The BJP has been trying to catch up. Thank God they got 36 Rafales in time for Op Sindoor. Thank God they got the S-400s in time. Otherwise, who knows what could have happened. So we have accepted this drift for far too long, and thank God the government has now decided to correct it. There is a school of thought which says that India is going in for 4.5 generation fighters at such heavy cost, in preference to 5th generation stealth fighters from either the United States or from Russia. So is that a logical trade-off, that we go in for almost 150 4.5 generation fighters when the rest of the world is heading for 5th generation capabilities? Yes, it is. Because you had to plug the gaps which were long overdue. The MiG-21s, the last squadron was phased out, and from 30 we came to 29 squadron. The Jaguars, the Mirages, the MiG-29s have to be phased out over the next couple of years. So what are you trying to do? Get the Air Force down to zero, big zero. You have to do it, and you have to do it day before yesterday. We've already wasted too much time. No question we have to go in for that. And if you analyze that, the best fighter to plug the gaps in the shortest possible time was the Rafale. 10 years, 15 years back when we had the multi-role fighter aircraft MRCA deal, combat aircraft deal, we had chosen the Rafale. It just wasn't purchased. The Congress government, when it was going in, Anthony Saab told us that we don't have the money to buy the Rafale, period. We have money to buy the VVIP helicopters, which even the American president had refused. It was too expensive. But we have no money to buy the Rafales or fighter aircraft for the Indian Air Force. That was a disaster scenario. Thank God it's history. And now we are getting in at least 150 of these Rafales will make our inventory. Apart from the Su-30s, which are about 270, this will be the largest fighter aircraft in our inventory at number 2. The simple fact is that this is going to release or to replace our deep penetration strike aircraft. The first one of them was in the Jaguars, came in the 70s, then the Mirages, 70s, 80s, and then of course the MiG-29s. All these, MiG-29 is not a DPSA, it is an interceptor aircraft, but the fact is all these are due for replacement, for phasing out. MiG-23 is gone, MiG-27 is gone. So you needed an aircraft which could come in at the fastest. Aircraft which was already tested, tried. The Rafale is a combat tested aircraft. We have tested it in Sindoor and found it to be damn good. So it is already integrated into our electronic network, into our command and control networks, into our entire electronic architecture. It's already integrated. It can carry our integrated Indian weapons integral like the Astra. It will be able to carry the BrahMos cruise missiles. Though they haven't shared the source codes, they will integrate these for us. It is going to be manufactured in India. 18 will come in the flyaway condition. The balance will be produced, manufactured in India itself. Almost 40 to 50% integral indigenous components. The Tata's facility is already going to start manufacturing the Rafale fuselage. At Hyderabad, we have the MRO, the repair, maintenance, repair and facility, which will do the repairs and upgradations, etc. for the entire Rafale fleets all over Asia. So it is already integrated in our system, and if you had started going for a new aircraft, first trial, selection, this, that, another 20, 30 years would have gone. By the time they would have all become obsolete, not required any longer. You simply couldn't afford that. Therefore, the best bet was the combat tested Rafale. Like I said, 36 already with the Indian Air Force, 26 already with the Indian Navy, 114 more coming in, and out of which 80% are going to be manufactured in India. And since our Air Force is already flying it, introduction time would be the least. It was the most common sense option. Thank God we have taken it. It is costly. Yes, it is costly because we have customized it for our requirements, number one. Number two, we've got with it, this includes the weapons package, ordnance package. Like I said, it's got the Meteor missiles, BVR of 150 kilometer range. It's got the Scalp missile of 500 kilometer range cruise missile. It's got the Hammer, guided weapon, which have all been already tried. Used Scalps and Meteors were used, Scalps and Hammers were used in Operation Sindoor. So we've got that. You just can't buy the airframe. You need with it the weapons to do damage on the enemy end. And we have got weapons which have shown their worth in Operation Sindoor. So it was the most logical decision. It has been taken, thank God, just in the nick of time. So now what about the 5th generation aircraft? There is a school of thought which says, no, we'll make do with 4.5 generation, we'll wait for the AMCA to come in. Now, some of the optimistic estimates about the AMCA is that it will start coming in by first prototype 2028, 30 and mid 35s or so. You could earliest 10 years you will have to wait for it to come in. With the Pakistani Air Force pilots already training in China on the J-35 Chinese stealth fighter export version, what are we planning to do? Let Pakistan have a decisive edge over the Indian Air Force? Incomprehensible, unthinkable. So, it's very good that we want to go in for an indigenous aircraft. I am so happy that it has been taken out of the ambit of the public sector HAL, which wants to work at a snail pace, if at all. But we are now giving it to a private sector, to the Tatas. So maybe they'll cut short the time, but even 5, 6, 7 years at the best would still be too much. The Rafale doesn't fill in that gap. Rafale is not a 5th generation fighter. We need 5th generation fighters to counter 5th generation fighters to ensure that we are able to penetrate enemy airspace, to ensure we are able to deal with Chinese and Pakistani 5th generation fighters. Therefore, the options were the F-35 export version of the F-20 Raptor, which the Americans said they would give it to us. We got no concrete offer. But that aircraft is prohibitively expensive to buy, even more expensive to maintain. Availability rates are 40 to 50%. Then it has a bloody sweet kill switch. The Americans will take all your money, and when they want to disable the aircraft at the time of a war with Pakistan, they can do so, sitting there in the United States. They don't even have to come here to do it. Then the entire electronic infrastructure to integrate that aircraft into the NATO command and control setup, we would have to spend so much more. And then the Americans told us clearly, bluntly, no production in India, no transfer of technology, no spare part manufacture in India, no nothing. And we will decide where you use it. So, I mean, what are we going to spend billions of bucks for? To be made Charlies of? As exactly was done with us, we paid $1 billion for the GE 404 engines. 3 years down the line, till now only 2 had come. Now with the Prime Minister intervening, 5 more have come. We needed about 200. I mean, what kind of a scenario is this? We're not asking for these free, please, like Pakistan. We are paying hard cash. And at the end of paying hard cash, if we are going to get stabbed in the back, then, I mean, common sense says that you stay away. Stay away from such unreliable partners. But yet we want to buy $100 billion worth more of weapons from there. We are told we are buying about $3 billion worth of the Poseidon aircraft, the maritime Recce aircraft. We've already got 12, we want 6 more. That's a good buy. Okay, one, it is not a combat aircraft on which we can be let down. And I mean, it is something that will help our Navy. And the Americans, I'm sure, will not let us down when it comes to facing China. We hope. We hope like hell. So, sir, you will have to go in. What is the other alternative? AMCA, of course, is our primary alternative. But can we afford to wait 10 years? No, sir. Then what is the option left? The Su-57. Russia has said the cost is half of the F-35. They are prepared to let us manufacture it in India. They have already tested our facilities for manufacture of Su-30Is, and they say they can be upgraded. They are prepared to share technology. They are prepared to share source codes so that we can fit into this our beyond visual range air-to-air missile Astras. We can fit in the BrahMos cruise missiles. right? They are prepared to give you hypersonic cruise missiles as part of this package. Not taking this would be stupidity of the highest order. It would be dangerous. At the rate at which things are going, Donald Trump is acting crazy. I wouldn't be too surprised if, like Richard Nixon, the next time we fight with Pakistan or China, he sends the 7th Fleet to support them. It's crazy. So at that stage, you will also need your Su-57s at least to deter. Don't even think of it. Don't try it. We are a nuclear power and we have the same matching technology. There are a lot of propaganda. Stealth is not as good, that is not as good. Look, if you have to fight China and Pakistan, the Su-57 is better than the J-20 or the J-35, which Pakistan will get. It is superior. So this is not the same class of aircraft as Mirage 2000 and the Jaguar, which are being phased out. It is a totally different class. We need it to fill the gap, to plug the gap, the time period which we can't afford, a 10 years lead, not just to China but to Pakistan. China, by the way, has already made 2 prototypes of 6th generation fighter. So, I mean, we have to be realistic. We cannot be the first BRIC country that is seen to buckle under American pressure against the threats of Donald Trump. We haven't buckled so far. There is no bloody reason for us to soften or dilute our stand. You can't buy Russian oil. I'm sorry. That is the cheapest oil we have. And America, even if it wants to, cannot fill up that gap. It cannot fill that gap. Even the Venezuelan oil will take another 10 years to come in quantities online. So what are we talking about? There is just no 2 questions. Yes, we are very keen to preserve our job market in the formal sector, in gems and jewelry, in textiles, in leather goods, in fisheries, etc. And therefore we need a trade deal with the United States. So we seem to be getting a trade deal, but I am got my greatest reservations on how this deal will pan out given Donald Trump's mercurial shenanigans. Korea thought it had a deal till it was told, sorry, I am inflicting 25% more these things on you. We have been told that we've given you from 25% to 18% as far as the tariffs are concerned. 25% Russian penal tariffs, you buy Russian oil and we'll reimpose it. So what happens to our deal? We had lived without the deal for so long. I understand that we want to save jobs in the Indian market, but I think it may be more sensible to diversify. At least we need some breathing space to start diversifying. You may adopt an ambiguous stand, but then there is your national prestige. There is the factor of India's strategic autonomy. The world respects you for the strategic autonomy. You are going to be the 3rd largest economic power. You are a nuclear power, space power. You are not Venezuela that you can be seen as buckling under. No question. And I don't think that will happen in a month of Sundays. So we have to be very clear, because not only will we have to keep buying Russian oil, sir, you will have to buy the Su-57, Katsa or no Katsa. You will have to buy the S-400s. You may need the S-500. They have proven their combat worthiness in Op Sindoor. Russia is a tried and tested friend. For the most unreliable friend and a most unreliable Donald Trump, can we jettison our tried and tested allies who have stood by us, who helped us so much in the 71 war and thereafter? 70% of our cutting edge weapons used to come from there till recently. You brought it down to 30%, 40%, not to be over dependent on one source. But they are still the cheapest. They are still the most rugged weapons, and they are proven weapon systems, sir. Ukraine has shown they are better than American weapons and European weapons. So where is the doubt? So I am happy that the government has gone in for the Rafale, and we will hope that the Su-57s will follow. Jai Bharat, Jai Hind.